You know, back then they told soldiers to bring thicker coats. They told them to huddle closer. They told them to endure. But, well, someone else asked a different question. Not how do you survive the cold, but what if the wind is the real enemy? During World War II, armies didn't just fight bullets and bombs. They fought physics, they fought weather, and in some places the cold killed faster than gunfire. Eastern Europe, the Ardennes, northern Italy, temperatures well below freezing, winds that sliced through canvas like it wasn't even there. Standard tents? Useless. And yet there are photographs, half-forgotten manuals, field reports buried in archives that hint at something strange, something deliberately simple, almost too simple. Not thicker fabric, not more insulation, not more firewood. Instead, a frame. At first glance, it looks unimpressive. A crude skeletal structure, wooden slats, metal rods, sometimes scavenged, sometimes improvised. No walls, no roof, no protection, at least not in the way we're taught to imagine shelter. So why did soldiers swear by it? Because this wasn't about blocking the cold, it was about tricking the wind. Here's the part most people miss. Cold air by itself isn't what kills you. Still air, manageable. Moving air, that's when heat disappears. Wind strips warmth from the body through forced convection. It's a relentless process, really, where your heat is carried away faster than you can replace it. Canvas tents tried to resist this force. The frame system? Well, it redirected it. The idea was deceptively elegant. Instead of creating a sealed space, soldiers erected angled frames, often V-shaped or triangular, placed upwind of sleeping positions. No walls, no enclosure, just geometry. And, you know, geometry doesn't fight the wind, it guides it. The wind would hit the frame, split, lift, and pass over the soldiers instead of through them. Behind the frame, a pocket of relative calm. Not warm, not cosy, but still. And in freezing conditions, stillness is survival. This wasn't guesswork. It was field-tested, repeated, and, well, refined. Some units angled the frame at exactly 30 to 45 degrees, depending on the terrain. Others added snowbanks at the base to amplify the effect. The result? Wind speed behind the frame dropped by up to 70%. That difference meant frostbite delayed core temperatures, maintained men waking up alive, all without burning extra fuel, all without carrying heavy canvas, all without technology most people would recognize as, you know, advanced. And yet this trick never made it into civilian survival culture. Why? Because it doesn't look like shelter. It doesn't feel intuitive. It doesn't sell well. And, you know, it doesn't photograph nicely for manuals meant to reassure. Tents feel safe. Frames look exposed. But safety isn't about comfort. It's about understanding the environment better than it understands you. Here's where it gets interesting. This same principle shows up elsewhere. Indigenous Arctic windbreaks, desert Bedouin structures, even modern architectural wind baffling around skyscrapers, different cultures, different centuries, same realization. You don't block nature, you redirect it. During the Second World War, some commanders dismissed the frame shelters as primitive, too improvised, too informal. But honestly, soldiers didn't care. They cared about mornings where their fingers still worked. Field notes describe men sleeping behind these frames in conditions where nearby tented units lost toes. Sometimes ears, sometimes worse. No heaters, no insulation, just wind control. And then the war ended. Logistics modernized. Mass-produced shelters took over. Convenience replaced cleverness. The frame trick faded into obscurity, but physics didn't change. Today, survival experts rediscover this idea accidentally. Snow walls, emergency windbreaks, minimalist shelters that prioritize direction over coverage. They call it innovative. They call it counterintuitive. They rarely mention it was already solved under fire 80 years ago. There's something unsettling about that. How many solutions are we ignoring because they don't look advanced, eh? How many life-saving ideas were buried because they didn't fit a narrative of progress? And how many soldiers survived, not because of better gear, but because someone understood wind patterns better than the enemy understood strategy? Forget tents. Forget the obsession with sealing yourself off from the world. Sometimes the smartest defense isn't a wall, it's an angle. Because when the cold is hunting you and the wind is doing the killing, the difference between life and death might just be a frame and the courage to trust physics over instinct. Some secrets survive wars, others wait to be remembered.